What celebrity did bad things but everyone forgot what they did because they're famous? Boy George. He beat a guy with a metal chain after cuffing him to a radiator. Should make for an interesting sequence in his forthcoming biopic. Deleted. Steven Tyler became the guardian for a 16-year-old he was dating when he was 25 so he could bring her on tour. Knocked her up too. Rick James kidnapped 2 women with his wife while on separate crack binges. NBA Hall of Famer Karl Malone raped a 12-13-year-old. https://en. Wikipedia. Org wiki Karl Malone family. Edit. Better choice of words. And then denied that the kids were his and refused to pay any child support. Karl Malone is one of the biggest pieces of shit there is. And he's still treated like a god by the Utah fan base. In my country there is a TV host that killed several people in a car accident. Twice. It was his fault both times. You can still see him on TV. Can you please give source? Is no one gonna mention Caitlyn Jenner hitting that pregnant woman and forcing her into traffic? Then getting the Woman of the Year award? I guess I remembered that wrong. Turns out it was an elderly woman. And the woman died when she was hit by a Hummer. Also, remember that Brendan Schaub the millionaire podcaster comedian spit in someone's face and then threw them through a sliding glass door because they asked him to stop eating his food? Look into it. https://streamable.com CMBP. UTM source equals share and UTM medium equals IOSAP and UTM name equals IRSMF. On an episode of the Joe Rogan Experience podcast, comedian Nikki Glazer talked about the recent Comedy Central Alec Baldwin roast in which Caitlyn Jenner participated. Nikki had planned to roast Jenner with a bunch of jokes about how Jenner had killed someone. But Jenner refused to participate in the roast if those jokes were made. Jared Leto's been accused of rape by half a dozen 13-15 years old girls. He kinda comes off a bit as a tool. Kinda acts douchish and arrogant. I have heard that before though. Piers Morgan was the editor of the Daily Mirror during the Iraq War. Published photos that he knew were fake of American and British troops abusing Iraqi prisoners. He was fired but somehow managed to make a successful media career out of it. One of my favorite videos of him is the one where he tried to shame that Love Island girl cause she didn't know Pythagoras' theorem. And when asked if he knew, he started reciting the digits to pi. https://yahoo. Biogilflit1w. Charlie Sheen once had unprotected sex with his girlfriends, plural, when he has HIV. Do people actually forget how awful Sheen is? Mark Wahlberg beat and blinded a Vietnamese guy just because he was Vietnamese. Emma Roberts beat the shit out of her then boyfriend Evan Peters. Then continued to co-star in the same show as him. This one always bothered me. She bit his face, they stayed together. And did the show. But nobody seemed to think the domestic violence was a big deal just because Peters didn't leave her. I guess Noon's really forgotten. But Roman Polanski is still getting awards and standing ovations for his films. Something interesting I read once, and I could be wrong, is that a lot of the people, including the celebrities, who support him thought it was just rape because she was 13. And that if she was say 18 it wouldn't have been. Not understanding that it would have been rape no matter how old she was. Ryan Reynolds did Green Lantern. I can't help but feel Deadpool was an incredibly cathartic role for him. Removed. Deleted. Andy Dick has sexually assaulted people an absurd amount of times and also got Phil Hartman's wife back into drugs which led to her murdering Hartman in an intoxicated state. You would think he would have been ruined in the Me Too movement. But apparently we pass it off like ha. That's classic Andy Dick. Edit. To those saying Andy Dick doesn't really get a pass because everyone hates him, he's not in prison, which is where anyone else would end up for doing half the things he did. So I'd call that a huge pass. Natalie Wood was probably murdered by Robert Wagner and witnessed by Christopher Walken. Walken was on the boat. But I don't think he actually saw it happen as he went to bed before everyone else did. John Lennon beat his wife. He yelled in his son's ear so loudly that he's now deaf in it. A child. Deleted. Jerry Seinfeld dated a 17-year-old girl in high school. When he was 39 years old. Edit. I know it isn't illegal. He had money, fame, and was at the height of his show. and he chooses to date a 17-year-old who is still in high school. It might not be illegal and as bad as murder, rape, kidnapping etc. but it's still pretty scummy. Steven Tyler was a serial rapist in the 70s and 80s. Now he's an old woman. He also became the legal guardian of a 14-year-old groupie so he could take her on tour and fuck her. Not sure what her parents were thinking. Creed Bratton has been a leader and a follower of numerous cults. You make more money as a leader, but it's more fun to be a follower. Karl Malone got a 13-year-old pregnant and refused to take care of that child. I think you'll know the song Despacito, who is performed by Luis Fonsi. Well, this little piece of shit was married to a beautiful woman who had breast cancer. During her entire process of chemo he wasn't there, and he even told her, when she had a breast removed, that he didn't want her as a woman. This ended up in a divorce. From what I've heard, that's sadly common. Many breast cancer survivors with mastectomies have been left by husbands who thought them less of a woman's on one or both breasts. Brick killed a guy with a trident. Brick, I've been meaning to talk to you about that. You should find yourself a safe house. Or a relative close by. Lay low for a while. Because you're probably wanted for murder. Gwyneth Paltrow. She's a con artist and manages a MLM. As well as recommending women treat their illness by putting rocks up their vagina and steaming their privates, causing harm to people. You can say she's an idiot. Or just that she's a sociopath that loves making money off hurting other people. She admitted on Jimmy Kimmel that she has no idea if anything really works. There was that time James Franco tried to fuck a teenager. After she posted the exchange on social media of her telling him how old she was and him not caring and still wanting to see her. All he had to do was go on a few morning talk shows a couple days later and say, "You don't always know who you're talking to online." And everyone instantly forgot about it. He framed it like he was the one who was deceived and people just let it slide, even though that clearly wasn't the case. He's getting sued for his sham of an acting school that he used to prey on aspiring actresses. It's a little more recent, so hard to say how it will affect his career. Here. https://variety.com/2019/BizNews James Franco Acting School Sexual Exploitation 1,203,357,890. Edited for UBR 911 and their personal dislike of Google AMPERLs. Deleted. You take that back. Right now. Coco Chanel was a Nazi. Tyler Tequila is a Nazi. I haven't heard the name Tyler Tequila in almost a decade. Can we have a reverse thread? Which celebrity has a clean background? https://imaginationlibrary.com. Dolly Parton grew up with so little access to books that she started a charity that gives children free books monthly from birth to 5 years old. Deleted. I mean, Rush never did anything like that in their career. Hell, they didn't even have groupies. The worst they did was smoke weed. Not enough people seem to know that Sylvester Stallone did this. https://www.youtube.com watch V=Y4ARG5M575M. He just looks like he knows how bad it is but still gets into it. There's a soccer player in Brazil who killed his wife, quartered her body and gave it to dogs eat, to make it harder to police found out. He went to jail for a few years and now he is paying again and making tons of money again like nothing happened. Edit. Okay, he is not making a ton of money. What I meant is that he's probably gonna have a pretty comfortable life and have his career back. Also, the woman wasn't his wife. It was his mistress, but they have a children together and still. She was a person. His name is Bruno Fernandes de Souza. Deleted. Woody Allen. https://en. Wikipedia. Org-wiki Woody Allen sexual assault allegation. There is a lot of creepy stuff associated with him. Easy to find if you search a little. It also seems like there's a lot of silence over Harvey Weinstein stuff as well. Mr. Mossaby from Sweet Life of Zack and Cody killed someone in a drunk driving accident. Edit. Phil Lewis is unlike many of the others on this thread in that he was sincerely remorseful for his actions. The comedy troupe that he created helped spread awareness of the dangers of drunk and reckless driving. And that helped play a role in his reduced sentence. People can change with reflection, introspection, and genuine remorse for their wrongdoings. And he seems like a very good representation of that. For the record, Phil Lewis is very remorseful about what happened. And, to this day, he continues to work with drug abuse recovery groups and talk about his experience. Marcos Alonso, football player for Chelsea FC, was driving drunk and killed a 22-year-old woman. Driving 70 miles per hour in a 30 miles per hour zone with an alcohol level of 0.93 milligrams. His final punishment was a $67,000 fine and a driving ban of 40 months. Edit. Since this is being misinterpreted, he was driving drunk and crashed into a stone wall. The woman who was killed was his girlfriend who was a passenger in his car. Deleted. Vince Neil was driving drunk and caused a crash that killed his passenger. The passenger was the drummer for Hanoi Rocks, another band that was outing with Motley Crue. Rick James. He and his girlfriend literally kidnapped someone and burned them with their crack pipe and sexually assisted her. But people just want to go Rick James bitch. Edit. Sexually assaulted, not assisted, haha. To be fair, people say Rick James bitch more because they like Dave Chappelle, not because they're big Rick James fans. Will Smith was in YouTube Rewind 2018. Mark S. Brownlee. No one talks about Gwyneth Paltrow and her goopy scam. Edit. Yes. People know about it. But they let her get away with it. Also thanks to everyone who linked to the Jontron video. I hadn't seen it. Edit again. Apparently Jontron is not a great dude. Roman Polanski. Raped a teenager and Hollywood still defends him. Cardi B. Bragged about drugging people. Ted Nugent shit his pants to dodge the draft and has a song called Jailbait which ends with him pleading with an officer not to arrest him and instead share a 13-year-old. That's not even his worst offense, as also he adopted his 16-year-old girlfriend because the government refused to marry them. Deleted. Deleted. Everyone's celebrity hero Bill Murray allegedly beat his wife. Repeatedly. Up until his wife divorced him in 2007. Edit. Unsubstantiated legally. Ex-wife claimed. Also was on the list of celebrities that visited Epstein's Island with the weird temple and shit. Drake seems to be ignored for grooming a young underage fan, at age 14, into being his girlfriend until she recently turned 18 this year. And now he's even, supposedly, doing it to a young actress. Ben Roethlisberger. Everyone somehow forgets that he raped 2 people. Edit. I get it. No one actually forgot about Roethlisberger. R. Kelly married Aaliyah when she was 15 years old in the mid-90s, and yet it took like 2 decades for people to start boycotting him as a sexual predator. He was still making songs with Beyoncé and Lady Gaga etc. for a long time. O.J. Simpson has her Instagram. LOL. I don't think anyone has forgotten about what O.J. did. Drake. Nobody cares that he's a child fiddler and Rihanna basically ran for the hills because he makes good music. Pete Townsend of The Who and child porn. No. You don't understand. He was just doing research on it. Deleted. To quote John Mulaney, I think. I'm not saying Ray Lewis stabbed a man. I'm saying Ray Lewis was within stabbing distance of a man who was stabbed. Vince Neil of Motley Crue drove drunk and killed one of his very good friends and gave the 2 people in the other car very bad injuries and brain damage. He also had other dues after this. And X200B. But hey, everybody loves a good party song, and now he has a famous liquor brand. Gordon Ramsay slapped on 2 pieces of bread and made the poor girl call herself an idiot sandwich. Man, I learned so much shit in this thread. When I read Gordon Ramsay I was like, no, not him. Floyd Mayweather beats his wife with hands that are registered as lethal weapons in front of his children. But because he wins nobody cares. This one doesn't get nearly enough attention. There was even a video of him knocking her cool TF out and dragging her out of her elevator. Fuck that guy. Edit. I'm confusing Mayweather with NFL player Ray Rice. Fuck both of those guys. Johnny Cash walked out on his wife and kids saying that his career was more important to him than they were. Then went on to eventually settle down with June Carter and start a whole new family while still ignoring the kids he already had. I'm pretty sure they made a whole movie about this. Kurt Cobain's mother regularly goes on talk shows and interviews where she talks about how supportive she was of Kurt and how she knew how famous he would become from the moment she heard his music. Yup. It's the same mom that abused Kurt and kicked him out multiple times, making him live at his grandparents' friends and sometimes, not confirmed, sleep under a bridge. Not really a celebrity. But politicians are a kind of celebrity. I think. The Chappaquiddick incident is a good one. https://en. Wikipedia. Org Wiki Chappaquiddick incident. James Franco tried to meet a 17-year-old girl in a hotel through Instagram. He was in his 30s when this happened. Edit. For anyone asking for proof. Here's a link. https://www. Google. Com/s www. Daily Mail. Company. Octave Shelby's article 2,596,113/. James Franco 35 hits schoolgirl 17 Instagram series texts. HTML. Hanka Popopoulos. Jimmy Superfly Snuka killed his girlfriend and got inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. I mean, it seems to most that Drake is actively grooming young girls, but it seems to be forgotten as soon as new evidence surfaces. R. Kelly been peeing on underage girls for as long as I can remember. Wesley Snipes, he is a real dick and assaulted Halle Berry. Steve Carell promised college tuitions to third graders but didn't fall through to it. I see people still saying great things about Tom Cruise. All the time. Especially on our movies. It's like they forgot he's huge into Scientology. You know. That fucked up group that locks people up in compounds until they conform. That group that has gotten away with rape and murder. That group that skirts taxes with their bullshit church status. The group that intimidates and ruins lives that go against them. It's a huge fucking evil cult. He's a very big part of it. And yet people seem okay with him. John Landis killed 3 people. Michael Fassbender isn't allowed within 100 yards of his ex and her kids. And allegedly dragged her out of a moving car. And threw her over a chair and broke her nose after she found him unconscious covered in his own pee and tried waking him up. Peter Yarrow of Peter, Paul and Mary was in prison for 3 months for indecent liberties with a 14-year-old girl. From Wikipedia. In 1970, Yarrow was convicted of and served 3 months in prison for taking improper liberties with a 14-year-old girl who went with her 17-year-old sister to Yarrow's hotel room seeking an autograph. Yarrow answered the door naked and made sexual advances that stopped short of intercourse. The 14-year-old resisted his advances but according to reports, did not call for help. Yarrow served 3 months of a 1 to 3 year prison sentence.